So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness, rage across New York. And we are setting the scene in the very usual Sept of the Green, where somewhere fairly near to the Cairn Heart, the Fianna have been well at work all day, setting out an immense Triskelion design on the ground, first with stones, then lined with boughs of pine and fir, spruce, even holly. And at this point, candles have actually been stuck here and there, either poked carefully into the frost hardened ground or, well, at least a certain amount in candle holders, but one can only have so many candle holders, and this design is massive. But all in all, it's a strangely festive display. Wood has been gathered to the center of it, stacked up for a massive bonfire, and not but so far away. Well, let's start with Jason coming round, because to be fair, if anyone or if he had asked about anyone, he would have been pointed precisely this way to find the person he was looking for.
And he would have asked, and is tromping in the direction of the massive Triskelion. Probably kind of looking puzzled, because that's what he does.
Yeah, you'd see Aiden. I'm going to say, because he's midway getting woad painted on him, that he's shirtless. So you see all these massive tattoos all along him, down his arms and everything. He's been painted. You see his hair is braided as he has his eyes closed, as he's almost, yeah, it just seems to be a very ritualistic process as he paints some. Oh yeah, I'm painting 10 points. Sorry, but then again, they're all probably nearly half naked at this point.
Oh yeah, if nothing else, she can pre-do his hair for him.
Yeah, we'll just say that as he, is applying woad very carefully, very dutifully to his Omega's cheeks and face, and he seems to be taking his time, whistling slightly.
The kind of potentially comedic point to this is that it is just such a nice, brisk December evening, and 10 Point is decidedly naked at the moment. Because, that's just how you put on woad. And while she doesn't seem to notice, and he probably doesn't seem to notice, it's any guess what Jason will think of that display.
His expression definitely says, "That's naked." And also, "Aren't you cold?" But he doesn't say anything, because they're obviously doing something, well, it looks important anyway, so he tries not to interrupt.
Then glance over and see Jason kind of standing there with that's a naked person face. We'll kind of smirk and midway through painting one of the delicate streaks on her arms. Cub?
I had some questions for you, Aiden Raya, but if it's a bad time, I could come back.
No, it's fine. You look over at 10 Point. Is it a bad time?
And she gives her head a mild shake. No, Raya, of course not. This will nod, because I can't think of another time that I will think to mention it. Since this is one of the few times 10 Point will be nakedly visible, she does, in addition to the few scars on her face, have a good 5-ish kind of crisscrossing lash marks across her back, where the fur, well, never mind, not Kranos, bleh, but very clear, welt scars. And then, more entertainingly, there is, in fact, a Triskelion carved onto one side of her rib cage.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I should mention
very fine line, but it's definitely cut in there.
I forgot to mention as well. Aiden's back looks completely shredded in what looks to be shrapnel, as Jason would be from the military, so he knows what a shrapnel wound looks like. And his back looks fucked. There's scars everywhere, but he moves fine, completely fine.
He's actually seen the deliberate scarification of wounds. So he doesn't seem surprised that Aiden is unaffected by his scars that would have crippled a human. His reaction to what are pretty clearly whip marks, or at least to his untrained eyeballs, is a definite frown. But then he's careful not to stare at them.
Ain't nobody watching him. Just paints another line on 10 points. So it's very delicately and slowly. Our tribe has very strong opinions on metas, as you know.
Yes, Raya.
10 point comes from a very traditional sept. Sometimes the punishments are harsh.
I am somewhat familiar with some of the possibilities for Garu punishment.
Just nod. But she's fine. She's learned and she's grown and she's become a very productive member. Haven't you, 10 point? You give her a smile.
And for what it's worth, she looks, I mean, not positively blissful, but she's very much at peace during the conversation. Doesn't seem to be upset by the scars being seen or commented on. As he's painting on her face, her eyes have shut briefly, though when she is directly addressed, they kind of flit open, and she smiles in return, offering a faint nod.
You just nod. So you have questions. She begins to just paint very delicately each part of her fingers.
More than I actually know how to put into words, but in this instance, you mentioned that you had information about a hospital visit.
Well, nod. My packmate Saoirse has it. We were looking to begin investigating it. Do you want to come along?
I would very much like to be involved, Raya. Yes.
Then just nod. I'll make sure you're updated. Get Saoirse to give me a copy after we're done here tonight.
I haven't heard anything from any of the authorities regarding his death, which is odd.
Suspicious.
Very. The military in particular is very good at notifying next of kin.
Odd. Yeah. That is suspicious. That's very suspicious. Frown.
I'm not sure if I should file a missing persons report or what to do. I don't want to invite humans to just show up anywhere, but there will be, I'm sure, questions and paperwork. And
yeah, no, that's a good idea. What we'll do is, she finishes begins painting her wrist. We'll get Colin, Saoirse, and myself, 10 point. We'll get you, we'll all converge, and we'll work through this thing. We'll go start investigating and see what we can dig. I know Saoirse's found a lot, and the Children of Spirit Wilds were working on it, but I suppose we'll have to get the relevant information off whatever they left behind.
I do have, I don't know that we're friends at this point, but I know someone who can give legal advice if we need it, other than Jacob.
It's good.
Right.
It's good. You just nod. Lawyer or something?
Law school. I met her in college.
Probably keep her on standby just to go over a few things. But keep it quiet. For now, we need to find out what we're dealing with. Just nod solemnly.
I just, to start with, I guess, need to know who I should contact and who I shouldn't. It seems stupid to worry about it, but I suppose the insurance money would be useful eventually.
It can be useful, yeah. You said Richard was in the military.
He stayed in. I got out. I was going to go back to school, but he was career.
That might be an avenue worth looking into. these organizations that we fought with, some of them are mercenary based and they come equipped with fairly hefty hardware, military based.
And he kind of nods. He was more deadly from a distance than anything else.
A nod. Maybe just have a poke around and see if there was anything suspicious, any jobs he took, anything that didn't fit the usual bill.
I don't even know where to start to ask about orders that he'd gotten.
Any of your old military friends might know?
They might. Well, I mean, and we can always contact his unit.
There you go, yeah. Might be a start. We'll have a meeting. Get as much information as you can, even if it's just the bare minimum. We'll get working on it.
Should I file the missing persons report, do you think?
I would talk to Jacob. It's more his field.
That makes sense. I can't very well go in and tell them that I know he's dead and ask why I haven't heard anything. That's just asking for trouble.
Jacob is your best bet. He'd probably give you some sound cop advice. Just nods. But you said you had questions about other questions, apart from obviously what we have to look into. What else do you have questions about then? So he begins to paint up 10 points in the arm.
What don't I? I don't even... I'm still adjusting. I'm sure that will be going on for a while.
Probably will. We all take time to adjust to things. New changes, new ways. It's all part of the cycle, really. And what do you think of the people here, then, now that you've had a bit more time?
I hardly get to know one of them and they disappear. Or die, or...
That's the life. And the people you do attach to, you're just going to have to accept that some of them might that one day, they're just going to die right in front of you.
Yeah, well, figured that out.
Just nod.
That makes it difficult.
It does.
And now I'm stuck. Well, stuck. It would be easy enough to pass it off, but I'm stuck as Cub Alpha. Terrible fucking job.
I'm impressed. He'll give a grin as he moves up to 10-point shoulder painting.
Yeah, everybody else is just pissed off at me.
Everyone's gonna be. Leadership often brings blame, but at the same time, when they know shit's gonna hit the fan, you're the one they're gonna all turn to.
No, so far not blame, just death threats.
Death threats? Who threatened you? You have a raised eyebrow.
I mean, even
Desmond?
10 points eyebrows will knit.
Desmond.
Yeah. I hugged him unconscious. He was pretty pissed off.
He threatened you. Need no stop painting.
Really pissed off?
What did he say?
Just that he was going to kill me. And then he passed out.
And what did you do about it?
Nothing, but I'll remember.
Nods. Remembrance good, but a reminder is always better.
He gets excited.
You look over at 10-point. Kind of just, do you want to weigh on this type of look?
Considering that she's already seen Desmond pretty dramatically overreact at least once, she'll lift one of the hands, likely with the the probably, admittedly, alcohol-thinned paint, already dry, and will just set it lightly on his shoulder. He doesn't have a good grasp of the rage, Raya. I'm fairly sure it means little to nothing. He will grudgingly apologize later.
Well, there hasn't been an apology, Raya. But there also haven't been any attempts to murder me, so I don't even know if he remembers saying it.
Just nod very solemnly. Resume the painting. Then that should tell you something about him. Should tell you something that you need to think about when you deal with people as well. That's a good lesson. As you begin turning 10 point around, so he starts painting her back. People in the nation say a lot of things. But they look over. If they don't act on it. They say they're going to do this, they're going to do that. It usually means two of things. One, they're waiting for something. Or two, they're afraid.
Swearing to do things and then not carrying through, whatever it is going to lose people respect.
It is.
It's unwise for even a young Philodox to be so loud and so impulsive in what he says. His word could carry much weight later.
It does, and that does not bode well. Something that you probably need to mention to your dead father.
He was there.
And he allowed it.
He sighs, and one hand comes up to kind of rub at his face. And he looks very briefly very tired. I am not, and likely never will be, Bites the Week's favorite. This does not bother me especially because it is not my job to be someone's favorite. I have been told that repeatedly, that a Philodox is often not popular.
A shrug. It can be. It can't be. Depends on the burden of leadership. Begins painting along her shoulder blades, but he'll turn to her. But you're an alpha, maybe a cub alpha. It's up to you to carry the burden. Desmond's loud actions reflect on you and the other cubs. Even though you might not think it, it does. Because it'll be you who has to pull him out of the fire. One day. So talking to Bites of the Week and telling him your issues, as a Philodox, your concerns, is actually very, very good. Telling him that you have maybe a solution to fix it is even better. With his observation, of course.
It's very possible that he means to let the three of you learn to struggle with each other's strengths and weaknesses, telling him that you have noticed something and that you're concerned by it. Could well be part of the test. To see if you notice, to see if you understand what is and isn't a problem and could or could not tear it back apart.
I mentioned it to the Den Mother.
What did she say?
She said that there were different views of how a Philodox does their job. And that for some, his burning desire to be judge, jury, and executioner was expected. And that for others, my preference to be perhaps more investigative or understanding was accepted.
It's your job to be both. But spread his hands. You can clearly tell he looks frustrated by Chloe's comments, but he doesn't say anything. But it's your job to be both. But that's neither here nor there.
That reflects more accurately on what Jacob Raya said. And in fairness, he is the Philodox.
Aiden just keeps painting 10 point, doesn't say anything, but locks eyes with her and just smirks at her a tiny bit.
And ironically, she will go ahead and keep the gaze locked, but will answer or speak to Jacob, Jason, as she does so. God help me, that's going to happen a lot.
Yeah, I take it as a compliment.
Yeah. Anra, you will find that no two members of the same auspice will do their duties precisely the same way or prioritize the same aspects of it. It's the good aspect of there being more than one, there being many. How you interpret your duties and how you perform them, as long as they're performed well, doesn't matter. As long as you make the right judgments. Whether it's loudly and boldly and brashly, or it's after a length of time and great thought. That is all that matters. A shame there are no get in the sept.
It's a shame. It's not.
It would have suited him nicely, I think.
Probably.
He seems very determined to be a Shadow Lord.
Well, it's his judgment. If he wants to be a Shadow Lord, he'll shrug.
A faint upward turn at the corner of her lip. And she glances out.
He met Dallas. Him. Yes, he did. He must have.
My opinion, I think Desmond is so brash to chase the one thing he wants to care. But that's his decision at the end of the day.
He is doing much the exact same thing as he despises. He has set his head on something. No amount of evidence or reason seemed to be able to turn him aside from it. Look to the other Shadow Lord on Sept. Have him, perhaps, look to that other Shadow Lord. Make sure that what he admires in his dim father is actually a matter of being a Shadow Lord, and not simply a matter of being a lupus in the nation. That harshness. They're so few and so rare in a ways, born into the nation so violently. Those seem to be the traits that he has become the most attracted to.
It's not. What about you?
There's two vying for my attention, I suppose.
Two? Who are they? Pink gets finished on her shoulder blade, is now moving along, but points in her spine.
I'm not sure I'm quite cut out to be a Fianna.
What makes you say that?
I don't like emotional extremes. They're not comfortable. Which may just be the time talking.
It's one aspect, lad. You grin. Come here, I'll show you something. You'll walk over with the wool paint on his hands.
Do you
know the reason I paint this on myself? And we paint this all over us.
I don't.
You look over at 10 point and smile. Why do you put this on yourself, 10 point?
Of course, you asked why I have like my mouth full. Thanks, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, to strike fear into the enemy, right?
But why do you paint it on yourself with such dedication and determination?
Fucking killing me, Smalls. I am not in the zone for this right now.
God, okay, you should be.
10 Point is so blissed out by the comforting attention that she is getting from her
and
her beloved Raya that she just
the mushroom she's riding
what?
off.
Fucking everyone in the shrooms, I swear to God.
It's part of what they do. Thankfully, 10 Point doesn't usually have so much effect. But out of respect, Raya, for the tradition, for my family, for those who have come before, for the spirits that I speak to when I paint it.
Do you want to know why a lot of people are envy of us? Jason, Fianna. You'll hear people talk about us, the way we are, the way we cry, and we weep, and we scream, and we roar. Because we've accepted that when we die on this earth, we will never be here again. So we live the day to the very last. Whether that's crying, shouting, screaming, we've accepted it. It's who we are. And our glory and our deeds and our ancestors will know that we, Fianna, honor them. We honor ourselves. It isn't about emotion. It's just about acceptance. Acceptance of what you are.
I'm still working on that, I'm not going to lie.
Every Fianna that I've met, every one of them, some bad, some good, we all accept each other because we're family, we're a brotherhood, because we all understand it. Once you find yourself, it's very easy then to understand when you find your family. And if you can do that, I think you'll be a wonderful Fianna.
The mention of finding family. He looks briefly like he's just been gut punched.
You'll give him a sympathetic smile. I'm going to tell you something, and I don't tell most people this. When I was a cub like you, how I first came into this nation is my entire family were murdered. My father shot right in front of me. My sister eventually, due to the grief, starved herself to death. My brothers went missing and my mom drank herself to death. I ended up exactly like you were, in a world that I didn't know. And I remember as I was very young, before we went out on a raid, an older Arun painted LWOD on my face and told me to stand with us, with your family. And I remember shaking, being so scared. Then I remember him just lifting me up on his shoulders and carrying me back, cheering my name, because we'd won a great victory.
I don't know that I'm going to fit on anybody's shoulders.
The grin. The point I'm saying is, you may lose the things you want in love and life. And it'll hurt more than anything in the world, and nobody will ever know what it truly feels like. But when you find the people that don't care what you are, who you are, then you found it. Where you belong.
No matter how much we may lose, Onrai, the family we were born with, our packs, our tribes, or the families we choose, there's a quiet strength in that.
You just nod very solemnly, and turn back very slowly, and begin painting 10 point again.
Jason will take the time to compose himself.
Will he have been leery if she lifted a hand as though to set it on his shoulder?
No.
Like probably admittedly there at the first bit, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Nah.
10 point won't budge per se otherwise, but she will lift up a hand. And it's a brief, sympathetic expression, but she doesn't like try to do that here, let's have an hour of meaningful eye contact.
Nope.
It's just enough to convey that there is some level of understanding. And she just kind of keeps the hand perched on his shoulder, at least for a bit, at least until he seems to have composed himself again. It's a very mild form of moral support. But then again, she just hasn't gotten the impression that he's really big on the hugs from random people, especially naked random people being painted blue.
He doesn't actually seem to mind the naked. He was just a little surprised because it's fucking 30 degrees outside.
She is cold. She is not immune to that. Like, there is probably, at least periodically, bouts of, like, kind of that involuntarily trembling. She's muscling through to the best of her ability, but yeah, she's not like some fucking goddess who's immune to the cold. She chilly.
He wouldn't even be surprised, honestly. Like, he'd just be like, oh, yeah, of course. Why not?
Of course, you just don't even feel the cold. You're fucking magic. No.
Go figure.
She's definitely very, very, very mortal and very human in the way that she kind of shudders.
Does it ever stop feeling like all we've inherited is loss?
At times it does. You say solemnly. You turn 10 point over and look at her dead in the eyes. When you look into your packmate's eyes and you feel that devotion to each other. And you feel that connection to each other. As again, he starts painting just along her neck, very carefully. When you feel that connection to who you are and your totem, of your tribe, you'll lose people, and it'll hurt more than anything. But if you give yourself to people, and give yourself to the people you care about, that loss doesn't seem so much and so heavy.
As much as the other tribes, Unrai, call us emotional, and may at times see us as imbalanced. It is how we cope with the loss. There will always be wars, there will always be battles, there will always be deaths. And so we have learned to celebrate what we have every day that we have it, to live each day like it will be our last. Not in the strange way you see on TV or read in books, but we truly do celebrate each day. Because tomorrow, someone may frenzy. Tomorrow, the worm may attack. But today, we have our pack. And today, we have our family. And today, we have a good book, or a good drink, or a warm fire. So we revel in it. Every moment of it.
Thank you, Raya. That makes more sense, I think.
Her lips purse a moment, but she nods. A very genuine little smile.
He grins. Told you it would make a bit bad, Fiona.
I'm still wary of it. I won't lie. That perceived imbalance seems dangerous.
As is
I'm
anything.
supposed to be
Well, that's true. Things were going to be so simple. I was going to go back to school. We were going to have a baby. And now I'm a fucking religious furry vigilante with anger management problems.
You grin. You'll kneel down again and get 10 points to kneel down as he begins to paint slowly. You'll look over. If things were so simple, I would have had the woman I love and I could marry her. Settle down where I want, do what I want, go where I want, drive where I want. Fortunately, things will never be simple. That's what we do with that complexity.
For the sake of note, this will be the first time that 10 Point actually like turns her face away from what all's going on. Just it's kind of like almost the polite aversion of eyes as he talks about this particular subject, for all that he doesn't seem to make a very big deal of it.
I mean, if you can paint him if he likes, but he's painting away.
But that's not going to get questioned. That's just kind of a nod.
I could have had everything I wanted, but that complexity is who we are. It's always going to be who we are. That's how we deal with it. It makes you a guru. Either a Gaian, a child of Gaia, a Fianna, a Get a Fenris, a Shadow Lord, whatever you want to be. It's that complexity you're always going to deal with.
He nods.
You grin.
And actually, since... No, go ahead.
No, you go first.
Well, I was going to change the subject.
Oh, yeah, perfect. You grin and you say, you're handling better than most, and I'll give you credit. You're taking your time. It's maturity. I like it.
Yeah, I have it on good authority. I'm old.
You grin.
But since it hasn't actually come up in a scene yet, kind of stops and then, I mean, blatantly, like, shiny new change of subject. Too many feels. So, on the subject of questions, people keep talking about going to confession, and I am 99.7% certain that no one in the sept is a devout Roman Catholic. I'm a bit confused.
10 Point like kind of coughs very suddenly.
Jaden starts giggling. It's a very old Fianna tradition, I'll have you know.
I believe you. Which
looking at her hands.
You grin. All right, I'll be honest with you. Confession is a bar downtown that, well, a lot of us Guy and Guru go to. We cleanse it every day, so it's probably the purest bloody place there. And we unwind.
That makes a lot more sense.
People will laugh. There are strippers there, of course, because, you know, shrugs.
What kind?
Male and female.
Yeah, best kind of bar.
Nods. Oh yeah, it's not too bad.
So while the cold had turned her face a bit pink, it has gotten a whole lot... Okay, it's just red now. It's fine.
You grin.
Still looking at her hands.
You grin and ruffle her hair slightly. And he'll look over. But it's a way to unwind yourself. Relax. And to be honest, it forms camaraderie.
I could use a bit more of that lately.
We Fianna know best how to form camaraderie with people. You'll grin. But go there. Unwind. You'd be surprised who you see there.
I gave up being surprised who I saw in strip clubs a long time ago.
A shrug. Just keep
It's always the ones you least expect.
Just keep it down low among the kin. They get a bit,
It's not my secret to keep. It's not my secret to give out then.
Shrug. Just nods like at a boy, and smile. But yeah, no, it's a good place to unwind. And even though some of us get embarrassed as we look over at them point with a grin, it's nothing too bad.
Why be embarrassed, Raya? He's looking at 10 Point.
I feel the need to say 10 Point feels so targeted right now. Pardon as I chew, because again, I had a mouthful. That's not weird at all!
Oh my god.
I'm choking on rice. Fuck. And 10 Point is still just, her fingers are fascinating right now. Look how well he did on that. Oh, God damn it. On that war paint. That's great. So she'll be studying her hands, and suddenly is so much less, she's not the grand keeper of the lands or this renowned foster. She is just a 30-ish-year-old woman who apparently turns bright red when anything regarding sex is brought up. And she just kind of mumbles. It's something of a taboo subject, Henri.
Now he just looks confused. We're back to square one.
Aiden gets shot the most pleading save me look.
Aiden will grin. 10 Point isn't used to things like this. In our tribe, metis don't usually spread his hands. It involved with such things as that.
We don't take mates, Henri. A viable kin is of more use to a proper guru.
In our tribe now, this is not general practice.
Is that, and he hesitates and frowns, kind of looks down for a second. Is that because metis are infertile?
Nod.
Yeah, she gives a light nod as well.
Chloe Raya mentioned that some people disapproved of her choice of mate.
Stare. I know about that. They're not to be trusted.
For similar reasons.
They're not to be trusted. Harden. Actually, yeah, 10 Point, he sees it immediately. That suspicion goes in his eyes.
10 Point kind of glances up because, she doesn't know the details. The response is upsetting. And at least it seems to distract her from her nervous hand washing, as it were. And after a moment, her own expression shifts somewhat to one of resolution. And she gives her head a light shake.
She told you about that.
She did.
His fist ball. Seems Saoirse was right then, 10 Point.
Brows lift.
I'll tell you later.
It is a good warning, Henri. Our people have had many, many dealings, but no amount of good ones can change the worst of them.
Because you know what? Aiden will turn. They'll steal all your children. They'll come in. That's what I've heard. They'll come in and steal. If you make deals with them, they'll steal you.
All I know about most anything at this point is fairy tales. And just learning about the Garu is telling me that I don't know fact from fiction with those. So
keep away from them. That's my advice. Don't trust them. Ever. And throw salt over your left shoulder if you think there might be suspicion of one. It's an effective tactic.
Kind of browns.
The
salt thing. Not for that in particular, but I've heard it interferes with all kinds of things.
Good to know. We've seen it in practice, didn't we, 10 Point?
It's a kind of a sheepish nod. We thought once that one had been led back. I circled our entire cabin in salt, put it across the door, the windows. At the very least, it can't hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I imagine it's bad for the soil in large amounts, but...
No, just a line. And we do have a cast iron pan.
Just don't trust them. Now, mind you, I've dabbled in things that people would look at me for. I learned the hard way. But concentrate on learning about us out there.
That was the plan.
Yeah, just stick to Guru. Other things will just give you a headache.
Most other things are very... She kind of pauses a moment. Distressingly attractive. Something that you think is too good for you comes sniffing around you. It's probably something uncanny. More importantly, and she'll point. As a Philodox, you have at least a hand and a half of Luna's blessing. While not all humans will flee at the sight of you, they shouldn't want to be close to you. A very good way to tell if someone is something uncanny is if they openly approach you, not because they've been invited to, not because they've been forced into your company, but someone who openly and calmly approaches you of their own will. They're not human.
Especially if you're in a group of us.
I remember on the bus.
She nods, recalling and perhaps looking a little chagrined that she forgot having said it once before.
She'll just smile. He'll just smile. Just remember, group coming up to you in a bar, and they smile and go, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Yeah, that's bad.
And anybody that looks like they're out of my league undoubtedly is. I learned that lesson a while ago.
Yeah, me too.
Israeli Secret Service.
Blink.
He'll look down. She was squirm uncomfortably. She was a warlock or something, mage. Look over and grin.
And very pointedly does not use the term that comes to the tip of the lips because she does not need that evil put on her.
No, God, no.
You're a wizard, Harry. No.
She is not going to say Karen Drainer because she doesn't want to get hit with the brand new stick.
Ooh, yeah, no. He kind of nods.
You grin. But I learned the lesson the hard way. And the grin is a sad one.
Unfortunately, those seem to be the lessons that stick the best.
Yep. Yeah, they do. But hey, when you're young and you're in Vegas, you'll do anything. You'll grin as he continues painting 10 point.
He also grins. Aiden is not the only one who's been to Vegas.
Finally.
You smile. Do you have any more questions for us, lad? We gotta go get ready.
Not for now. I'll see if I can't track down Jacob Raya and ask him some questions about reports and things.
Well, not. If you have any more questions about us, Fianna, whatever, or if you just want to shoot the shit, we're here.
Yeah, kind of. No, not allowed off Sept alone yet, but maybe at some point I'll see about confession.
Yeah. We'll be throwing the party as well on Saturday. It's a little thing for Colin, don't tell him. But you're welcome to come along and see a real Fianna party.
I will see if I am free.
Be sure you can. I'll make sure that, I'll make sure of a few things. He'll grin at him.
He gives him a suspicious look for that, but a happy suspicion.
You grin. Can take care of their own. And, well, Fianna parties are Fianna parties. Winking as he goes over, whistling.
And he will give both of them a small gesture of respect and then head back out again.
And seeing as they're gathering things up, 10 point will, oh so happily, ever so happily, pick up what essentially amounts to a robe and swaddles herself in it. Oh, so contentedly. Oh, thank Gaia. And with that entertaining parting of ways, I dare say we can say thank you, players, for playing, and Watcher for watching, because I fucking see you. And we'll see you next time on the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. And Blarney.